You're listening to Soul Food Chats.
Conversations that nourish your soul.
I'm Rahul.
And I'm Natalia.
So grab your favourite drink,
Get cozy,
open your mind,
and let's start chatting.
So let's dive in.
Hi everyone.
Welcome to Soul Food Chats.
Today we're going to talk about past emotions and overthinking.
And limitations and sort of how past beliefs might be limiting our current selves and sort of how we can work to change that. I think a good place with this one to start is sort of by talking about maybe what has been limiting me in this very early stage of my career. For me, it's definitely like, for example, beliefs of, not feeling good enough or, sort of I had this thing in school where I would put people on a pedestal and I sort of would, pull down the view of myself and sort of put others higher and think that person's cooler than me. That person is more this than me,
and
more that than me.
Always putting yourself down, feeling less of, not worthy. And that was like a pattern of overthinking too.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
Because with those people, it's like you would almost overanalyze each interaction.
Yeah.
It's like you would, I said this to them, but like, you would look at it after and think, what would they think of this?
Yeah.
What thing that I said? Or they're probably not even thinking about it. But in my head, I'm going over the same interaction like 10 times. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, now why was I doing that? And it was not a healthy mindset to have. And because of that, I couldn't never live in the present moment. And I think that was a big issue.
For me, it was very difficult to create genuine connections because I would always overthink and look for the right things to say instead of just being myself and just saying, I just want to say this and I'm just going to say this. It would just be a constant, overthinking cycle. Oh, should I say it in this tone or should I say this to be cooler, to look cooler so they like me? I was always searching for external validation because of putting someone else on a pedestal instead of just feeling secure within myself.
No, 100%. And I felt like for me as well, it's like I would almost dim my own light down.
Yeah.
Because, you just want to fit in. You don't want to feel judged by these people. You don't want to feel ridiculed by these people. Because I have had experience, for example, in childhood, in school, where, somebody said this, said that.
How did that experience make you feel?
That experience, it made me feel sort of not good enough. It made me feel less than everybody else.
Wasn't that exactly what you've been kind of also you also had in your mind?
Yeah, exactly. It all links for me. It all sort of links back to that experience. I felt like it all sort of goes hand in hand, and I feel like I had to realize that those past experiences were triggering me, and I was sort of bringing those past emotions from those experiences into my present.
Your present, yeah.
And that was not serving me. And it's never going to serve you, to be honest. Yeah. I don't know how you maybe experienced that. Well.
Absolutely. I would take things very personally, especially like things, even the smallest criticism or somebody laughing at me, it would feel very personal. Not necessarily like a personal attack, but I would get very insecure about it. And I didn't realize for many years that was just me being insecure. It was just me taking that in and letting it define me instead of realizing, I actually got all the power. Like I've got the power. I only define myself. And because somebody said something about me, that does not define me.
Right. Yeah.
So that was a huge lesson I've learned, which also helped me build stronger relationships in my present.
100%. And I think what I learned actually is usually people who, have stuff like that to say about you or negative stuff to say to you about maybe something you did or about how you look or whatever it could be. I think oftentimes they have, a negative insecurity about themselves.
Yeah.
And I think then they project that onto other people oftentimes. And I think then you have to realize that that person said that thing, but actually it's not about me.
Yeah.
It says way more about that other person than it does about me. And I think
it also works the same way. So like if we both experienced feeling not good enough, not devaluing ourselves, putting others on a pedestal, that still was us projecting that vision of ourselves onto others. So they just literally seen us as that because that's who we were. It goes both ways.
Yeah, 100%,
Yeah.
100%. I think then you have to shift your own perspective of yourself,
Yeah.
right? And I think your own view of yourself is so much more important than what other people view you as or other people think of you. What you think
Yeah.
of yourself is so much more important. And I think sometimes you have to then, think about these triggers. And for me, it was those experiences I had that were affecting me in auditions. They're affecting me on set because I couldn't commit fully to certain things because I'm like, oh my God, I feel judged, or I might feel judged by these people, or what if they do judge me? And actually, it's like that negative thought that you have, and it all roots back to those experiences you had. But these are new experiences, and they are not the same experience as what you had before.
I mean, especially when it comes to auditions, there's huge competition. It brings loads of anxiety. And there's loads of rejection. I mean, we are both actors, we are both creatives, so we know about this, and I'm sure there is going to be loads of artists and actors in our audience listening to this podcast. So we all know what this experience feels like. It's pretty
hard,
it's hard out there. And the most important things for us to stay grounded and believe in ourselves is to sustain the healthy mental diet and understand that nothing outside of ourselves define us.
Yes, exactly. One thing I heard recently that I think it really resonated with me, and it almost like hit so hard. It was saying that the past mistakes we've made do not define us, and they absolutely do not make us any less worthy of good things. And I think that is so true. And I think I used to have this belief of like, oh my God, I did this, or I made this mistake, and therefore, I can't do this thing, or this thing isn't going to happen for me.
The vicious cycle of overthinking.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so I felt
we've all been there.
we have. And I felt like this for me was like, well, actually, do you know what? I can have these good things, and the past mistakes, they don't define me as a person, because who I was then is not who I am now. And I think you just have to take the lessons from those things, and you have to be in the present moment of who you are now, not who you was back then, not the past version of yourself. And I think what I want to sort of touch on now is sort of rewiring those patterns and sort of how you sort of go about doing that. Because I think you have to first acknowledge the fact and realize the fact that that thing is triggering you or affecting you still, and pinpoint what that thing is, because for everybody it's going to be different. What do you do to sort of push past this, and what did you do to sort of change this sort of perception?
I have this analogy of a video game. So, like in video games, when you play a character, you are presented with 3 choices or 4 choices that you can make as that character. Choices are all different. And you in that moment can choose what the character does.
Okay.
So that is kind of how life is. I am presented with circumstances. I am presented with different reactions and different perspectives in the way I can perceive that circumstance, or how I can react to this, or what I can think about it. And it's all up to me to decide which option I want to pick today in this moment with this circumstance.
Oh, I really like that analogy, because it almost sort of puts into practice as well, like the fact that you have the power and that you can make the choice, and you can't feel like you can't make the choice.
Yeah, because we many times feel out of control, because especially now in this very fast living life, so much is happening, and with social media we are bombarded with different kinds of information, sometimes very often misleading, different opinions of everyone all around the world, and it can get very overwhelming. You can lose yourself in all this
100%.
and forget that actually at the end of the day, what really matters is just taking care of myself and deciding what I am doing with my life, not what the rest of the world is saying. I'm living my life. Nobody else is living it for me. I am living it for me. This is my life. So I've got the power, not my partner, not my mother, not my father, not my sister, not my uncle. It's me that's living this life, and it's me that is doing choices every single day in every single moment of the day.
No, I absolutely agree with that. I love that analogy, and I think I think it is all about taking back your power, because I think when sometimes you can feel powerless in this sort of cycle, like we said, and especially because you almost sort of get in that cycle of this has always happened to me, or
Yeah.
and why has it always happened to you? Because you've always thought that way.
Yeah.
So you actually, when you change those thoughts, suddenly new things start happening.
Why don't start overthinking about the good things that can happen to you?
Yeah, that
Why we
actually-
always overthink about the negative ones? You know, like why is that the narrative that we're putting ourselves in? Why can't we just bring some positive twist onto it and believe in ourselves, even if it feels delusional? But I also believe that going into the negative narrative, that's actually the delusion that we're putting ourselves in instead of the positive.
Okay, yeah.
Because why not make ourselves feel happy and good and believe in ourselves? I think that is the way. We all look for happiness.
Yeah.
So that's the way that we should go into instead of falling into the negativity and
100%.
let the past that we've experienced define our present.
I think actually that brings me to my next point in terms of techniques of how we can rewire this thinking, is a technique that I've recently sort of I've adopted it actually from a workshop I did, and we were actually using it to sort of work on character and to sort of get into a scene. And I actually thought, why don't I apply this to my own life? And it's just called the what if technique. And for me, basically what it is like you take I always find myself in that thinking pattern of like, what if this thing happens? What if this thing goes wrong? What if the bad thing happened, basically? And it's like, why am I even thinking that way when actually I have the power to think, what if, the good thing happens? What if this does go right? What if this does go well? What
if I'm perfect for this opportunity?
Exactly. What if I get that job?
Yeah.
What if,
what if he likes me or she likes me? Or what if I'm actually pretty and I'm looking good today?
Yeah.
What if I'm everyone's favorite?
Yeah.
Like why if I'm actually an amazing person and people love to spend time with me?
Exactly. What if like I am good enough? What if, you can shift that perspective basically with that what if. So instead of what if insert negative thing scenario that you sort of, I would previously do, I've sort of gone, well, what if, and then insert a positive scenario. Like actually 9 times out of 10, the more likelihood is the positive thing's going to happen. So why not just think that way? And why sort of, because we do attract what we think.
Yes.
And in a lot of ways. And sometimes when we have that positive thing, I actually found that it shifted so much for me.
I think the more you start working on your mind and the more you start switching off those past negative narratives, the more and more you're going to start noticing a huge shift in your life. Huge shift with anything. Even
100%.
the people or circumstances that were completely different, like completely negative, or something that, I don't know, it was a closed chapter, something really went wrong there. It can still heal. It can still unfold or change into something, great.
100% agree. And it's like, actually, you know what? When I shifted these things, it was like it was reflected back to me, because the way, sort of people were with me, instead of thinking when I meet somebody new now, oh, this person, what if they don't like me? What if they think it's weird that I'm talking to them? Instead of thinking that, I now think, what if we get along? What if this person is going to love to talk to me? What if this person's going to become my friend? And I look at it from this perspective now. And the way things have changed and the way people are suddenly approaching me now, because almost like my energy and thinking have shifted to the point where I'm now attracting these new connections and I'm making new friends, and it is genuinely transformed everything.
It's definitely something I can relate to very much, because in my past, I would rarely give something from myself to others, because I didn't even want to give them a reason to think I'm silly or criticize me in any way. I would just stay shy. I wouldn't really engage with people. I wouldn't start conversation. And even if I did take the first step or engage with someone, I was very timid, very scared, and completely limited myself and wouldn't allow myself to be myself, like
Exactly. You almost like hide away, right?
Yeah.
And I almost laughed then because I relate so much, because I was the same in school where like I would literally just hide in my shell, right? And it's like people would think, oh my God, he's so shy. But actually I wasn't shy.
Yeah.
It's just that I was so afraid of being judged or criticized or, well, anything really.
Yeah.
So it's just like you think, well, it's just better not to say anything. You just sort
Yeah,
of...
just stay silent. Don't even voice your opinion or anything. It came to this point even when I would be scared to share a genre of music that I really like, because I
Right,
just
yeah.
thought I'm not going to be accepted because it's not something the other person likes, you know? And it, to me now, it feels completely silly.
Yeah, it's silly because you have your own opinions and tastes, right? And everybody does, and everybody is
Yeah.
different. And I actually think now it's so beautiful to be in a space where you can share those things with each other. And like, for example, you might share a song with me and I'm like, whoa, I haven't heard this before. But that wasn't going to happen before to me because I wasn't allowing the space
Yeah.
for that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Also, it's nice feeling to feel secure that even if there is a disagreement or your tastes differ between people, but you still feel secure within yourself with who you are, with your taste. It's great because you're going to be accepted. You know, if it's a
Right.
right friendship, it's the right person for you. It doesn't matter what you like, or if there is a disagreement between you, it's still fine. It's a part of life.
It's a part of life. And do you know what? If there's people out there that don't, for whatever reason, they're not worth having in your life anyway,
Yeah,
right? So,
exactly.
and they're probably
That.
going to remove themselves by themselves, right?
Yeah.
I kind of stand at the moment by this phrase, like the trash always takes itself out.
Yes.
And it's so true.
Yeah, absolutely that.
So you'll find the right people. And I think that's also down to shifting your energy as well. So when you have that shift of mindset and that shift of energy, you are going to find those right people for you. And actually, you're going to share that energy, respect each other, accept each other. And it's like you're going to have that sort of bond where you share things without judgment. Well, even if, for example, like you said, you're going to have, if you have a disagreement, that's okay. You have your taste, I have mine, or you have your opinion, I have mine. But everybody's opinion is completely valid. And I think for a long time I thought, is my opinion even valid? And sometimes I wouldn't share it because I used to think, actually, it comes back to that pedestal thing, right? You think this person that I've put on the pedestal, like they're going to think like this. So, you know what I mean? Like my opinion isn't on their level, but actually, why not? Both opinions are valid. There's no right or wrong.
It's just in your head. That pedestal is in your head.
Exactly.
That's
it doesn't even exist.
It's not set in reality. It's just in your head. I think what really helped me to deal with that, it's the I don't care affirmation.
Okay.
So, and it also relates to overthinking. So for example, if I would find myself overthinking about others' opinion, what people think of me, or losing self-confidence, like, oh, what if I mess up? Or what if I don't get along with these people? What if they think I am weird? You know, anything like this. I would say, no, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I'm amazing. I'm great. I love myself. I know I've got people that love me and value me. So I don't care about that negative thought. It's not mine. It's just there floating in my head, but I have the decision. I have the power to choose it or actually leave it. So I choose to not care about that thought. I don't care about you.
I love
Bye.
that.
That's it. I repeat it in my head a few times until it goes away.
100%. And it's like that saying that I heard recently. It's like where your focus goes, energy flows, right? So why are we giving focus to that energy? Yeah. Why are we even giving our focus to that thought that is not serving us anymore? Yeah. And you know what it is as well? It's interesting, like how we think about these thoughts. For me as well, it's also like I would become self-conscious, right? So in a situation, I can't even live in the present. So not only like, for example, we spoke about friendships, but for example, you think about career. You become self-conscious within creative discussions, for example, like when you are in a group scenario, you sort of want to be able to be in a space where you are able to bring your ideas to the table, right? And I felt like, oh, you know, I can't do that. Or, you know, this person said this, so I'm not going to say this. I used to feel like, oh my God, they've brought this amazing idea. Will my idea be good enough in a way?
If it's going to be a stupid idea, for example, they're going to think, oh, it's stupid.
100%.
Right? Yeah.
And then when you see actually, no, do you know what? I am amazing in my own right. I'm good at what I do. I'm just good within myself. You're secure within yourself. You stop feeling like that. And actually you start being able to, now when I go to these things, even if it's a silly idea or I look back and think, oh, actually that idea wasn't very good. But I say it anyway, because actually sometimes it's inspired somebody else to go, oh, well, actually, you know what, I can build on this and I now think this. So actually great things have been, born from just feeling open enough to speak your mind.
Letting go of that was scary in the past, or that felt uncomfortable in the past, that was difficult in the past, or overthinking about the negative potentiality of something happening, but actually it doesn't really exist, but you just overthink that. Exactly. The idea might be not good enough. They might not hear me. They might not accept me for who I am. They might judge me, or whatever it is, right? Whatever.
Exactly.
Diminishing, devaluing thought it is. It's always about choosing, like which one you want to choose. You want to choose to always go back to that filthy habit of, criticizing yourself and limiting yourself, or do you want to choose? Actually, even if at first it feels uncomfortable, because it always feels uncomfortable at first when you've been doing this kind of negative mindset for a long time. It takes a while to accustom to the new narrative.
I think it takes a while to shift your mind patterns. It's not going to change overnight. I think that's one thing I want to say is I'm still doing that work. It's been, time since I've done it, but I'm still doing that work. It's not like you sort of just magically one day wake up and it's done. No, this inner work, it is hard. It's uncomfortable. And sometimes you will find yourself going back to that old pattern. But then I think it's about catching yourself. And now I get really good at catching myself. Like, that is also another step, because you can't change something if you don't even realize it in the first place, right? So it's about just trust the process and just keep going with it. And eventually you will get to a space where you're not even thinking about it anymore. And that new pattern has become your default pattern. And do you know what I mean? Like, now when we spoke about like meeting people. So when I go back to that example of like, when I meet someone now, I don't even have those thoughts anymore. I just say hi to them. Whereas it took me a while to get to that point of this is a new person. And, then I'd think, oh, no, shift your mindset and then go into it. Now it's just an automatic thing that happens. And I think that's something really, really positive, because it shows that inner work is working for a start. And it shows you how far you've come. And just keep going at your own pace, pushing yourself sort of out of your comfort zone with that. And like you said, it is uncomfortable. It is hard at first. But the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it, right?
I think with starting to talk more to people, I'm at a very great place with that. But I still find situations or certain people that it is that uncomfortable feeling that I feel, oh, there is a barrier there. And I don't know if it's, for example, a person that maybe is very attractive, or someone who, again, I'm putting on a pedestal, or maybe it's someone older or more experienced, or, it's depending, or maybe it's the person's energy as well, that I still maybe, kind of feel a bit frightened to be like completely open with, which is exciting, because that's another step on my journey in terms of that. So it's always work in progress. Even if you get better at it, I think you will always find new things to level up and kind of rewire in your own self.
That's the thing, is it's a constant process. It's never really over, to be honest with you. It never really ends. You can keep going with the inner work. I think with any part of self-development, we're all a work in progress. We're all constantly a work in progress. And throughout life, we should keep evolving. And I really do sort of stand by that. And I think, you're going to meet so many different people in your life. And, each one is going to be a different interaction and a different, something different will
Everybody
sort of spark
is unique.
from that. Exactly.
Everybody has something to bring to the table. And it's not some hippie talk. It's the way it is. We all are unique. We all are beautiful in our own way, and also imperfect.
100%.
in every way.
100%. You know, I want to touch on what you said about barriers there, because having that barrier with certain people, for me, actually, I was having that sort of difficulty with a couple of people I met. And I actually found that it was sort of rooted in, again, something else from my past.
Yeah.
And I felt like that thing was still coming in and still sort of being triggered. And then I actually had to think, well, what's the root of this issue? Where did it come from? And why am I feeling this way? And obviously it's going to be different for everybody. Those barriers could be, you know, the origin of that could be any number of things. But for me, it was like going back and thinking, actually, well, I had this interaction with this person, I don't know, 2 years ago. And this is actually the reason I'm feeling this way talking to this current person.
And now I'm in my brain, I'm comparing that past experiences to now.
It's like
and it's sometimes very unconscious. You don't even notice it. It just happens automatically. Like your brain is, oh, okay, we're in this situation again. But it's a completely different situation. But
exactly, you can't bring those old feelings into the new situation. And that's, again, that's another step of the process, to be honest. Yeah.